Skyrim released on November 11, 2011 as the fifth installment to the Elder Scrolls series and the sequel to Elder Scrolls IV: Oblivion, which was released on March 20, 2006. Before the release of Skyrim, Bethesda released Fallout 3 in 2008 and Fallout New Vegas in 2010, both achieving some level of success, but neither living up to the hype and success of Skyrim. During the time of its release, Skyrim became the largest game that Bethesda had ever worked on and published. It was hyped up to be the best RPG of 2011, which ultimately won, and is currently regarded as one of the greatest games ever made. The game currently sits in the top 20 best-selling games of all time, pushing 30 million units sold at the time of making this video. But why is this such a big deal? Why is Skyrim important for the future of RPGs, and most importantly, what makes Skyrim culturally significant? My name is Trot, and this is why Skyrim is important. For most people, Skyrim was their first RPG. Before Skyrim, before Elder Scrolls, RPGs represented a very niche group of gamers and were very difficult to get into if you were not already into them, or if you did not have someone else to introduce you to the series. While there were games such as Final Fantasy, Fable, and The Legends of Zelda, they were not exactly the most accessible games, and were only treasured by a small group of people. This started to change with Bethesda developing new installments to Elder Scrolls in the mid-2000s. Games such as Morrowind and Oblivion, which took elements from Japanese-style RPGs and D&D, were able to reach a broader audience and appeal to a greater number of people through the use of storytelling, enhanced game mechanics, and a very large open world. Before the release of Skyrim, Bethesda already found massive success with their most recent installment to the Elder Scrolls series, the Elder Scrolls IV: Oblivion. In order to understand why Skyrim is important, we must take a look at its predecessors and see their level of success.
For 65 years I have ruled this empire.
In a way, Skyrim is the Halo 3 of the Elder Scrolls series. Morrowind and Oblivion, both of which are fantastic games, did a great job to set the stage and build up to its magnum opus. The improvements from Morrowind to Oblivion are astonishing, and with the access to better technology and resources, Bethesda knew that they could really blow Skyrim out of the park.
Brother?
Skyrim wasn't just marketed as an RPG as its main selling point. Instead, Bethesda sold the idea that Skyrim was going to be the most gorgeous, complex, and biggest game that they ever made. They marketed it to be something more than just a simple dungeon crawler, something that had meaning and significance. Because of Bethesda's reputation for making killer games at the time, and because of the huge success of Oblivion, Skyrim was able to reach a massive audience and appeal to way more people than its predecessors. Everyone, including their grandma, bought this game and played it, and for most of us OG 2000s kids, this game was our first introduction to the RPG genre of games.
Let's get going.
I'm willing to admit that even though Skyrim had its flaws, such as mediocre graphics, bugs, and some boring quests, it did a great job introducing a generation to RPGs and paved the way for many to get into games such as Fallout, The Witcher, and Dark Souls.
Oh, did you need something? Have you brought more silver jewelry for me to sell?
Yes, I have. Adara
In the opening loading screen for Skyrim, the first thing we hear are drums beating and a rhythmic chant that gets louder and louder until it opens into the Elder Scrolls theme song. This sets the tone for the game, and it really resonates that you're about to start one hell of a journey. If there's one thing I've noticed, all great games, regardless of genre, have an amazing and memorable soundtrack. Games such as Halo, Minecraft, and Dark Souls are great examples of this. Music isn't just used to fill emptiness or quietness in a game, it's used in a way that complements the game and expands upon it. Skyrim is no exception here. The music of the game is absolutely phenomenal. The music perfectly captures emotion, and similar to how Minecraft's music complements adventure, Skyrim's music does the same, but expands upon it by adding twists to Oblivion and Morrowind's original soundtracks. The music perfectly captures the cold feeling of the world and atmosphere. From exploring mountaintops to the Dwemer ruins, Skyrim's music always captures the setting and pushes for ambiguity. I honestly believe that without Skyrim's fantastic soundtrack, it wouldn't be half the game it is. It's as if the music pushes for exploration and inspires the player to seek new places. Sure, you could say that about a lot of games, but if we were to really take a step back and imagine what Skyrim would be like without its soundtrack, or even worse, with a shitty soundtrack, exploration would be so boring. Skyrim's exploration is one of the best experiences ever, and the best thing it has going for it. I would even go as far to say it's on par with Minecraft. Skyrim isn't just important for RPGs, it is culturally important. It's the reason people like me are making YouTube videos about it. People love this game, they cherish it, and some even worship it.
Might consider joining up myself. Blood and silver, friend. Blood and bloody enough.
This game has played a huge part in so many people's lives and has become something greater than just a video game. I've personally made many friends in the Skyrim community, and I know I'm not the only one. Skyrim's community is one of the best there is, and Skyrim has stayed relevant for over 10 years now. From quests, to its items, to its guild and factions, there is so much to talk about. But it all starts with the very first drumbeat we hear.
I work for them. The inn is named after them. When the guards make an arrest, they check with them first.
In terms of lore, Skyrim pushed the envelope when it comes to progressing the story arc of Elder Scrolls. With the return of the Dragonborn, the revival of the Dark Brotherhood, and the defeat of Alduin, Skyrim leaves many questions unanswered as to what's next. Probably the most important unanswered question is what happens after the Civil War. Similar to Oblivion, the endgame seems to fall off a bit. While both games have a resolution for their respective storylines, there is not much else to do in Skyrim except for DLC content and maybe fighting the Ebony Warrior, which in itself presents a whole new plethora of questions. The Ebony Warrior especially is shrouded in mystery. Epic Nate has a great video about the Ebony Warrior that I suggest watching, where he goes into more detail about the many theories about the Ebony Warrior. Skyrim's storytelling, while not perfect, does a great job of bringing concepts to life. It was interesting to play through the Dark Brotherhood and the Thieves Guild for the first time, seeing how both are struggling and have lost their ways. I greatly appreciate how Bethesda decided to take a different approach to these factions instead of copying the same format from Oblivion. Although, I still believe that Oblivion's factions are much better.
That's enough, Thongvor. We're done.
You there, you another Imperial puppet? Answer me.
While Bethesda has somewhat fallen off in recent years, I think we should still be optimistic for the next Elder Scrolls game. I trust that Bethesda knows where they succeeded and failed with Skyrim and the games after it. Skyrim fundamentally changed how Elder Scrolls and Western RPGs should look, feel, and play. It changed the dynamics of storytelling in open-world games. It found the perfect balance of exploration, combat, and complex narratives. This is why so many people always find themselves starting another playthrough of Skyrim. It's a game that people can always fall back on. I read a quote in the YouTube comments that said, "You never quit the game, you're just gonna take a long break from it." And I think that applies from a collection of games that came out in the 2010s. So what's next? Elder Scrolls 6 is around the corner, and Fallout 5 has already been announced. I think that in the coming years, there will be more games that fit this category of being culturally significant. Skyrim isn't the only game that shares this title, and because of its importance to RPGs and open world games, I'm optimistic it won't be the last. If you have any questions, please comment down below, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll leave links to my Discord, Twitch, and Twitter for you to reach out to me. Thank you so much for watching this video.